Hello, Internet. There are many questions in this world, some of which may never get answered. For instance, has the George Lopez TV show ever actually aired new shows, or have they always been 3 a.m. reruns? The world may never know. What we can answer today is which is better, Alien or Predator?
Go Logo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Cinema Brawls. My name is Matt.
I'm Jake.
I'm Daniel.
And today we are bringing you another stacked brawl. The contestants we've picked today are the movie Alien and the movie Predator. See what we did there? We made a thing that's like Alien versus Predator, because there's a movie that's Alien versus Predator. Do you get it?
True, but we'll be reviewing the first Alien movie and the first Predator movie, starring Sigourney Weaver, and the other one starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Alien came out in 1979 and stars Sigourney Weaver and is directed by Ridley Scott. It is great and scary and has an alien.
One single.
It's got a couple aliens, actually. Predator came out in 1987, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was directed by John McTiernan. We're here to discuss why one movie, and there is one movie, is better than said other movie. This is a stacked brawl.
Why don't you go ahead and start us with your first impressions then, if you're so emphatic about them.
Both movies are similar yet different. Alien is a movie about people being hunted on a ship by an alien. Predator is a movie about people being hunted in the forest by still an alien, but like a predator type alien. It's more methodical and planned out, whereas the alien, or we'll call it the xenomorph for short, is more beastly and animalistic.
Kind of acting on instinct. Wow.
Right. Whereas
It's like it's just trying to eat. It's like as if it was a predator hunting its prey.
Right. Whereas Predator is not such. It is more of a alien.
More of a predator hunting its prey.
Yeah, you could say that. But it's an alien predator. Sorry, go ahead. On first impressions. Personally, I think a lot of this comes down to personal preference. Mm-hmm. Because there's some things you're going to like about one, there's some things you're going to like about the other. In my opinion, I like the Predator movie better.
Interesting. I am kind of in the middle. I like both. They're both great. I don't know. I could kind of go either way. At the moment, I'm leaning a little bit more toward Alien, just because I think the franchise that the Alien movie sparked afterward was a little better than the franchise the Predator movie sparked afterward. But we'll see. I'm apt to change.
Yep.
Go ahead, Daniel.
My first impression is I like the Alien movie. I think that it's a masterclass of haunted house movie making, and it's a claustrophobic haunted house movie that instead of a ghost, it's an alien that melts your face.
As you do.
As you do. John Hurt is in it, and we like him.
Great.
He's dead now, but we like him.
I feel like we do like him.
We do like him.
We don't like him.
Bring it in, forget all about John Hurt Massacre. On your mark, get set, brawl.
It's okay, it was painless.
Cool. Onwards to the story.
Sorry.
Who wants to start first?
That hurt me.
I'll start first with the story. I think the story ultimately goes to Predator, because I think the story of The Most Dangerous Game, of like the guy being invited to dinner and then being hunted by the rich tycoon, but it's also they were kidnapped to a planet and it's an alien. I think that's a lot more interesting.
They weren't kidnapped to a planet.
They weren't?
No.
Just
Predators
the forest.
on our planet.
Oh.
Just to the forest.
I thought it was a different planet. My bad.
Uh,
Either way, I think the most dangerous game that it's kind of based on is more interesting. Whereas Alien was kind of like, I don't know, it's like they kind of just delivered a loose premise for the story, which was fine because they didn't really need to stay on it too long. They needed to get to the alien part. I just think that the Predator was a little bit more developed in terms of story.
I would wholeheartedly disagree. I think that the Predator is as basic of a setup as you can get while having Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. With Predator, it's the most dangerous game. We know it. Guys being hunted, they have to fight back, blah, 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 blah. It's basically 5-minute setup, action the rest of the way. Isn't bad, but that's what that is. Versus Alien, which, like I said, it's kind of like a haunted house movie, but it has a lot more buildup. It has a lot more lore. It has a lot more questions that are answered, but then just raise more questions. It has deeper characters that react appropriately to the situation. It's not caricatures. It's characters whose actions drive the plot. The only reason why the alien's on the ship is because John Hurt made a mistake.
So Daniel and I are basically arguing the same point, but for different movies.
Right. And Daniel, you're an idiot.
What the
I'm kidding. You're
Okay,
not
all
an
right.
idiot in this current situation, but I would have to disagree with a few things you said. I think that both stories are very similar. Here's what happens. You have a group of people who are being endangered by an alien, a species not of our type. And basically everybody gets killed except for one person who eventually overcomes that. Those are the stories to both movies.
It's true.
One takes place on a spaceship where it is very claustrophobic and you can't get anywhere.
Very wet.
Another one takes place in the open forest. Now,
Which can be just as claustrophobic, in my opinion, depending on the movie.
and so in my opinion, both
Like the
stories are insanely similar to the point where I almost want to give this a tie. Can we give it a tie?
We've never done it before, but maybe we should start.
I mean, it's a stacked brawl, might as well.
I would say the winner of this is going to go to the characters, and that's if you're looking at the monsters and the main characters, the ones who overcome the monster. Because that's where the biggest differences are in these movies. Not
Okay.
necessarily the story.
So are we in agreement then that story is a stalemate?
Okay.
Weird.
Weird.
That was weird.
I'm not sure if I like this.
That's all right, because we're going to go on to characters, and we're going to talk about characters.
Which is funny, because when I was thinking about this before we started filming, characters was the one I was more neutral about. Cast of Predator are like kind of all stereotypes or caricatures, and the supporting cast of Alien are all kind of boring. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sigourney Weaver are like, they are definitely the forerunners here,
Yeah.
and the monsters, of course.
And so, in my opinion, when talking about the characters of both movies, I think it gets narrowed down to 4. And that would be the Alien, Sigourney Weaver, the Predator, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think those are the main ones you need to focus on. Everyone else is just there to be killed, basically.
I will say something about Predator, which is kind of interesting. There's an idea put out by a channel called That Film Theory, where they go through all the guys in Predator and kind of compare them to like different insecurities they have about masculinity and how the Predator kills them based on that insecurity. And it's really interesting. I don't know if it's true, but
That's weird.
it's weird. It's interesting. We'll link it in the description.
Might have to look that up. Anyway, here's the thing. When it comes down to, let's talk about Arnie and Sigourney first. They're definitely different characters, but they're both kind of in charge of their little, group that they have going on. Both kind of similar characters, but I think that they have a couple different attributes. I think Sigourney Weaver's character was a little bit smarter and a little bit more calm in the way that she took care of things.
a lot more calculating.
Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
was hunting who? Ridley or the alien?
Yeah.
No, it was the alien. Ripley was scared out of her mind that whole first movie.
Right. But I would give it to her over Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't get me wrong, it's very close. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie was, BA. He was intense, he, got stuff done, and ultimately he killed the Predator.
Right.
And he was pretty smart about it too, hiding in camouflage, disguising himself from the Predator.
Right.
He basically outsmarted this really smart captain.
What's established to be the best hunter in the universe or
and
something.
And that's where it takes the turn, is when you compare the alien and the Predator. The alien is not smart. It's animalistic. It's, going based off of hunger. Mm-hmm. The need to breed and eat, basically kill for no good reason. Whereas the Predator as a monster is smart and is,
he's just doing this for fun.
Yeah, he's doing it for fun. He's doing it because he can. And overall, I think that the Predator is a better character than the alien in most respects.
But it still sounds like you're tied because you think the monster is better in Predator, but the main character is better in Alien.
I do. It's still very close, but I think those are the title characters. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at that, it should go to Predator. Predator wins characters because Predator is the one that we're following and the one who is basically in charge of the whole situation. And these are monster movies. Like, they're classic monsters. Both of them are.
They really are.
And I can see where you're coming with that. I don't disagree with your opinions. I think that you're on the money. In my experience with the movies, I feel like there's still that whole entourage of characters that you like and get to know, like the guy who's the android that you don't know is the android until he gets killed and milk starts coming out of his face. Like, you like these characters, and so when they start dying and when stuff starts becoming ugly, it's scarier and it's claustrophobic, and how the characters react to that and how they react in their different situations, I think is what puts Alien ahead.
See, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, though, is I didn't compare the secondary characters because I thought both movies had it. Both movies had that. And it's really so close in both movies that you have to compare the two lead characters and the two monsters.
I'm kind of leaning more towards Daniel here because I did feel more of a sense of camaraderie with Ripley and her crew more than Arnie and his.
Really?
I mean,
because they fought a lot more.
Well, yeah,
and turned against each other, whereas the other one was a military group and they worked pretty hard together.
Well, I'm sure they did.
And that's the thing. If I had 8 people that were exactly like me, we would work together amazingly because we all had the same thought process.
They were different characters.
But the thing is us 3 are different. And because of that, we have this great dynamic. And that's what makes us good characters.
I hope I'm a good character.
Anyway, Alien. I'm sorry.
But no, I think when you're comparing it, you have to compare the two title characters.
Okay, if we're just doing the 2 title characters and the monsters.
The monsters are the title characters.
If we're comparing the 2 title characters
and the 2 main characters.
And the 2 protagonists.
Right.
I think that, like you said, their approaches were different. I felt more suspense and more, I felt a higher range of emotions with Ripley and with her plight, basically. And the fact that you didn't see the xenomorph as much, that you were following Ripley, Sigourney Weaver's character, you're following Ripley, and like, you were with her the whole time. And so when the monster popped out, it was scary because you didn't know. Versus, in Predator, it switches back and forth between POVs, so it wasn't quite as scary. It was more of an action movie. But because of that, I felt like the characters were more well-rounded, and I liked the characters more in Alien.
You're voting Predator?
Yeah.
You're voting Alien?
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to vote Alien too. Rewatchability.
I'm sorry, Aliens won that one. Rewatchability.
Yeah, we just.
So my rewatchability argument is, for me, very similar to my merits and genre argument, which is I don't like movies that take place in space.
Really?
I don't.
Why?
I don't like space. I don't like, this dumb futuristic style of...
Well, futuristic for, 80s.
Right, exactly. It's futurist. It's supposed to be futuristic, but I think it's just also dumb, and being on a spaceship never vibed with me. I like the open environment of Predator more. I like that they have places to go, and the Predator just has more to work with, whereas Alien's just this rampaging monster on a ship, where there's no, tactability to it. It's like the difference between watching basketball and football. Basketball is fine, people go and they shoot and they run it down the court and they shoot again. Football has tactic behind it.
There's a little more freedom to move.
People are making plays. There's freedom to move. A lot more stuff can happen than a 2 or a 3-pointer.
I have a lot of ethical problems with football.
But go into here.
with Predator, absolutely. I think that the environments are great. I actually really love the wide open area of Predator. I think that they did a really good job of it. I liked how it was like that military feel. Like, these guys knew what they were doing, at least enough that, okay, we're in a strange situation. First step, second step, third step. Let's figure things out.
They had a plan.
They had a plan. Versus versus Alien, where these are engineers, these are just normal people caught in a weird situation that really they have no control over. And as a horror movie, Alien is so scary to me because of that lack of control. But as a fun action movie and something that I like watching, yeah, I think Predator is a really good option.
I think that's another thing, too. Predator was more of an action movie, whereas Alien's a horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
They're different genres of movies.
Yeah, and Alien, it does get the suspense down really well, being trapped on a ship, where are you going to go? And I get that, and they needed that. But yeah, I think I'd rather rewatch a thriller or an action movie, especially in the forest, being hunted down. I think that's cool. I think I'd rather rewatch Predator than I would Alien. But then again, I'm a little biased towards horror movies. They're not my favorite unless I have a girl with me.
And that's the thing, is horror movies are my favorite. I love horror movies, and I think that as a genre, they have so much potential, and I love seeing that potential realized in movies like Alien. Don't get me wrong, I love action movies too, but I think that horror element of Alien is what sets it apart and makes it more rewatchable for me.
I would agree. Predator is a little bit more rewatchable just because it's easier to digest the action more than the horror. And it's interesting to go back through Predator and start picking apart kind of the devolving that Arnold Schwarzenegger and his crew have to go through. At first, they're the military group that's like, okay, we know what our mission is. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then when it fails, they're like, all right.
Plan Q.
They kind of turn into predators themselves, which is interesting, and it's fun to pick those apart. Whereas Alien, you're right, they're kind of just caught with their pants down. One guy, literally, I think, if I remember right.
And one guy with a hole in his chest.
Yeah, that was
I
fun.
bet that John hurt.
I'm voting for Predator.
Oh. Yeah, I'm voting for Predator.
I'm voting for
But now, we did talk about merits in the genre of both movies just now.
A little bit.
But in all honesty, they're both they're from the same franchise.
Kind of.
So, not actually. The only thing that tied them together at first was that there was an Easter egg in, I believe, the second Predator movie of a xenomorph head on the wall that then spawned them to be in a non-canon 2 movies.
Right. But yeah, I mean, eventually they're in the same thing. I would say that Alien probably did more for its genre.
I would disagree, actually. When I think action movies, I think of like the action hero like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Rambo. Like how I actually used his character name, not his real name.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
Rambo's easier to say.
I think of those 80s action movies, and I think the quintessential Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie is Predator. I think of that one first almost every time.
Not Terminator?
Not Terminator?
I mean, it's next, but...
Interesting.
But I mean, still, when you think action, you think of either Terminator or Predator, sometimes both, and...
Wait, you don't think of twins?
No.
No. But when I think of horror
Yes.
movies, but when I think of horror movies, I don't think of Alien first. I think of Insidious or Sinister or Cabin in the Woods we just talked about last week. I don't know. I think there's more merit in Predator as an action movie than Alien as a horror movie. Still, neither of them are bad.
I think that one of the things about Alien, in terms of like how it's influenced, is that, or how it's influenced the sphere of filmmaking or anything in general, is that every single Alien movie is different. And I'm not the first person to talk about this. I know it's all over the internet. But the first movie was the claustrophobic horror movie. The second movie was the big bombastic action movie, more similar to Predator. If we really wanted to do a real stack brawl, we should do The Predator versus Aliens 2. But, or I'm sorry, just Aliens. That's the second
The way they
one.
title them.
I know. But then Aliens 3 was the bad one. And then Aliens Covenant.
Was the newest one, wasn't it?
Prometheus was the Aliens prequel that was super lore heavy and weird. And then
Always
the
forget
Aliens
they're
Covenant was the one where it was like, oh yeah, you remember robots? Robots. And had Michael Fassbender playing the flute. And there's a lot of sexual tension with Michael Fassbender.
Here's the thing. I mean, granted, yes, they are kind of a different genre, but they're still very, very similar.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And
You're thinking
But
monster
stop.
movie, then they're
Right.
like right up there with
Yeah,
the chain.
I would probably put them into that kind of monster movie genre. One is a little bit more horrific, one's a little more actiony.
So you'd have to separate them, I think. Otherwise, we're at another stalemate.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but
I think that the Alien movie has spawned more successful sequels than the Predator movies.
That's fair.
and I agree with that, and so I'd vote for Alien.
You're voting Alien?
Yeah.
I would still kind of stick with Predator for the reasons I mentioned earlier, but I'm okay with Alien too.
I'm not happy about it. Go away. I'm being fair. I want Predator to win, but I'm being fair.
You are being fair.
Emotional impact. So emotional impact.
Okay, so
The emotional impact of Predator was, I think that we have to look again at it as thriller versus horror.
Yeah.
There was more emotion behind the Alien because it was claustrophobic.
High intensity.
Yeah, things
Pursuit.
popping out of people's chests,
Oof.
like, Sigourney Weaver.
visceral.
That gets to me more than it.
I know,
it probably
sending
should.
it out into space, like, I feel like you were more frightful watching that movie and on the edge of your seat than you were watching Predator.
I would kind of agree. Like, they pull off the high intensity pursuit movie really well.
Yeah. I do like how cathartic Predator is, though. At the end, when Arnold just, gets to go ham on this guy, it is so much fun. And I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, that was
You
pretty
are
great.
one ugly motherfucker.
Yeah. I do think it was pretty cathartic. I enjoyed especially the end of Predator, which is just amazing.
But don't get me wrong, it's a great movie.
Right.
I think emotions are a lot higher in Alien. For me personally, as I'm watching, I feel like my emotions are higher. but I don't know. I don't know if that really counts. I guess
Well,
it
it's
does. It's
important.
emotional impact. It's the impact my emotions have on.
Well, I feel like Alien pulls more emotion out of you than Predator does.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're both kind of going for the same thing, though. So it's probably
Super cathartic at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird because, like, when you enter a movie like that, you know the good guy's gonna win. I mean, come on. That's just the nature of those style of movies, especially back then. And I don't know. There was more of a sense of, in Alien, there was more of a sense of, oh, but actually, will they win? There was more close calls.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas Predator is like, you know what? Arnie's gonna get it into his own, and he's just gonna wreck the
Arnie,
guy.
man, come on.
It'll be great, and it was.
Twas.
There was more of a sense of, oh, but what if they don't in Alien? So, I'm voting Alien.
I guess I'm voting Alien too.
I'm also voting Alien.
So, not counting the stalemate, that makes it 3-1 in favor of Alien. Therefore, Alien wins the stacked brawl. Out of curiosity, who won in the movie Alien vs. Predator?
Predators.
Predators, yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Take that, whoever made
But I
those
mean, the
movies.
Predators are thoughtful and calculated. Of course they're going to win.
The
And they
point
teamed
of
up
them.
with the humans.
And they're Jamaican.
And they are Jamaican.
And Jamaicans win everything. It's Jamaican certainly. So.
Anyway, Alien wins. Good job.
Well done.
Triplets!
Oh my gosh. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned next time where we talk about other movies that will be great, I'm sure.
Bye.